Coming to you on WINNMedia, skn.com, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. This is Island T, and I'm here hanging out with my boy AZ. Just letting you know that you can catch us. You can catch us live on TV on Channel 40, TV Caribbean, TVC Channel 40. Morning, what's up?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Yes.
And we have no Kortensia today, so all the Kortensia lovers, you're just gonna have to suck it up today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's up?
Yes, I am good. I'm hoping that the Federation of St. and Nevis, those persons listening to the sound of my voice, are well. I do come here this morning. Yesterday we had very heavy hearts in the studio and across the land. Due to the increased number of homicides, we realize that number of persons have lost their lives, and of course, it is a heavy task to be knowing that so many young men, women included, and also one young child due to due to the use of gun. And so last evening,
young child,
9-year-old. You didn't realize?
No.
Yeah.
When?
Remember there were 2 bodies found in the country.
No idea.
Weeks ago. One being a 30-year-old and the other being a 9-year-old boy. Persons from Nevis. Yes. And
you're talking about that, what they found on the beach?
Mm-hmm. The coast, yeah.
So that added 2?
No, it was included in the number already when we discussed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many is that now?
We're at 25 homicides. Mm-hmm. So, yes, it has been quite a heavy day yesterday. And, of course, when FM carried the statement by the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Mark Bradley, and of course when FM carried the statement at 8 p.m. I think it was, and it was carried on other stations. Those who listened to the Honorable Premier and Honorable Leader of the opposition, the Honorable Mark Bradley, in his message he talked about an all-inclusive approach. At the end of his message, he also mentioned that as Prime Minister, the Prime Minister ought to lead. Opposition cannot invite themselves to the table. They must be invited. He also mentioned that there is an all-inclusive approach that must be taken. He mentioned that the Prime Minister and he had dialogue yesterday. He also mentioned that he and the political leader of the People's Action Movement a dialogue yesterday. As we know, on Friday, there is to be a national symposium on crime, whereby stakeholders have been invited to give their views on the situation. We know that certain suggestions were made by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition and Premier yesterday. He spoke about getting assistance from international bodies, regional. If my memory serves me correct, he also mentioned the RSS. He also mentioned curfews in certain areas. And so it is an all-inclusive approach. And very often, persons who hear persons speak about, the government's silence have taken that to say that there is blame on the government as it relates to crime. I have always said that there is those persons who felt that the government was too silent on the issue of crime. Hardly have they blamed the government for crime. What the message has been is that the government has been silent. What we have seen since, numerous talks on social media, protests on the street, we have seen that there have been some discussion. We've heard from the leader of the opposition. We have seen whereby a statement has been issued in relation to the police force and the suspension of leave at this time. Everyone, I think, have felt some concern. You speak to persons on the street, and persons even abroad are concerned with what is happening in the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. Indeed, we have seen whereby, citizens are feeling concerned. They are feeling afraid in most parts. I remember, just pulling up at a place yesterday to get something to eat, and there was someone close by, and while pulling up, the individual asked, "That's you who pulled up in the Jeep?" And I said, "Yes." And the individual expressed concern because they did not see who left the Jeep, you understand? And the individual indicated, times are different now.
So it's like heightened vigilance on that
Yes.
person's part. They just want to be sure.
Sure who left the vehicle. And I say that to say, under normal circumstances, persons would not be so concerned, especially it was around 7:30 in the night, you understand? And under normal circumstances, you pull up in an area that is a food place at 7:30 in the night.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But there was someone outside of the food place who was sitting, but had not seen me leave the vehicle, and was wondering, well, who's this vehicle? Pull up and nobody see them come out. You understand? And that pointed to me that there is some concern and some
persons. Because normally, you wouldn't be like, you wouldn't be so gung ho about, who came out of that vehicle?
Yes.
I totally get it.
And so, persons are concerned. I listened to portions of Big Lyce's live yesterday, and of course, he has asked, he has mentioned too that persons are concerned. I think many of us who have platforms on radio and otherwise, oftentimes people, they come to us and they express their views on matters that concern them. And in expressing their views, we share their views, sometimes, a lot of times, often more than not. Views that we express are the views of others who have told us exactly how they feel. And so, in this time, we are asking for an all-inclusive approach. And of course, the onus is on I always say the great responsibility is for our leaders who have been elected to lead the charge, to come up with what to ensure that the citizens feel safe at the end of the day, to ensure that there is some perception that it's not business as usual, that there is some feeling that it's not business as usual, that resources are being put to ensure that persons feel safe. We made the comparison yesterday with our neighboring Caribbean island, the island of Antigua and Barbuda, and we have seen whereby their prime minister have made certain statements. We have seen where videos have been shared of communication with the police. And when we look at the number of homicides in Antigua and Barbuda, it's at 10, a population that exceeds ours. And you see the
By
level
almost twice.
And you see the level of concern at 10. We are here at 25. And so there must be some perception that is not business as usual. The country must feel that it's not business as usual. The country and citizens must feel protected, and that, the resources of the state is being used, and that those who we have elected to serve are serious about the situation at hand. Of course, I am not saying that we too as citizens cannot play a part in ensuring that we do our part in providing solution, that we do our part in ensuring that we do our best to assist wherever means possible. Of course, we recognize that, and I've said this before, that oftentimes parents are aware of what their children are doing, and instead of speaking to their children, oftentimes in certain situations, parents have been silent. They have assisted in
or even if not, they rationalize it in their mind. Turn a blind eye.
You turn a blind eye. Rationalize as well. You have said it.
Or become denialist about what's going on.
Yes. Yes. And, there is a difference between wanting to protect your children and ensuring that they are given the best advice possible and encouraged not to go down a certain path. We have a caller. Caller, you're live on LNT.
Okay, so hopefully callers keep your calls coming. I wanted to read a couple comments.
No problem.
I noticed there was some comments from during Mark's thing last night as well, but let me start with the comments based on your first word this morning. Let me see. He said, "Good morning, guys. Azard, Mark Bradley is not the opposition. He didn't act that way." And from Cleo, "I hope that suspension of leave also applies to the commander-in-chief, as we say here in the U.S. The PM, he needs to stay out of the air. I think he already racked up enough mileage." And Kortensia said, "Good morning." Good morning to you too, Kay. And a couple things from last night. Let me see if a couple that might. Someone said, this is from during Mark Brantley's address last night. "We have a sleeping government," one person says, especially Dr. Drew. And "No politics in this. All hands on deck. I want to come home and walk free." So that's probably someone living overseas. Someone says we need a new prison. And someone same person suggests bringing in drones. And another person, "It's very heartbreaking." And yeah, Let's go to the phones now. Island T, you're on the air.
Let's go to the phone.
Hey, go ahead.
Hey guys, good morning.
Hey, what's up, Cleo?
Hey, Cleo, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing this morning?
I am wonderful.
Me, not so much.
Oh.
Well, wonderful.
Oh boy.
Wonderful in the sense that I am feeling, although there is a sense of great concern, I'm deciding to be optimistic. You understand?
Okay.
And
good
to
attitude.
hope that we push forward through this.
Anyway, I call in to say I listened to Mark's speech.
Yes.
I agree with what he says. The ideas that he have.
Yes.
You know, I think especially for the young people, the young men, the cadets and all those things need to be introduced. Mandatory, like he said. Keep them busy.
He did mention that.
Train them up, like the Bible said, train up a child. Train them up so they won't turn to, the gangs and the what you call it? Oh God, it slipped me. When the polygraph for the police and the army and them, that is desperately needed, and that should be done every month.
Yes.
And it should be a surprise, because then what we don't realize is that we have informers in the police force, and I could tell you we have informers in the police force. Because I could remember a couple years ago when a young man in Connery got killed. Somebody went as evidence, and as soon as he gave his evidence, his name was right in the street, and the person came back and tell them. The young man had to run out of St. Kitts. So there's informers in the police force. They said they need to be polygraphed desperately, because then when you look at it, when you think of it, we have gangs in the police, gangs with guns and badge. Okay? People who are in gangs have guns and badge. And if we don't want to admit that, we are delusional.
Yes.
And another thing, what we need to implement also is that anybody in the country, you come in the country, especially the Jamaicans, I'm sorry to say, men, they come in the country after they're 6 months up, go look for them, put them out. Because if you realize, right, a lot of things are introduced into thinking that it's not of us. We don't kill kids. That is not of us. Women, that is not of us. Isn't these things catching anybody like this? This is how we're thinking. This is not us. This is not our culture, as we would say. That's not us. So I think round up those people who are in the country past their 6 months, put them out. Do like Antigua. Do you see what Antigua say? They're going to put them out. I mean, the Jamaicans are kicking up, oh, he wrong for saying that. But, hey, you kill somebody, one of the citizens, and because then one of theirs get killed back, or they went to rob some place and they get killed, they're kicking up. But you come in my country and you do your wrong. That was the price. You lost your life because you come in my country and you do wrong. So that's my thing. I agree with Mark. And again, Azard,
yes,
let's get together. That national protest. We need a big protest. The mothers, the fathers,
yes,
the people who have hold their head and belly and ball. We need to be in the street down there. Come on now.
Correct.
Organize it. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Cleo. Have a good day as well. We have other callers.
That caller just call back.
Yes.
I was trying to.
We encourage your call.
Trying to let Cleo finish.
Yes, we encourage your call.
I think one of the things, Cleo makes a very good point, and I've always been unapologetic about that. I mean, the facts and the statistics speak for themselves. One of the things that needs to be done is the immigration department needs to be staffed up. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe what they should do, if you bring in some RSS people, you second some people from the police force and or Coast Guard, Defense Force, attach them to immigration, and let the RSS people take up the slack for the police. Because I feel like that's one of the problems. She makes a very good point about some of the stuff that goes on, which, you know, is not really something. I mean, obviously there are a lot of different things going on. There's gang-related activity. There's just people who just don't want to work and want to steal.
Yeah.
But yeah, she makes a good point. Let's go back to the phone lines.
Caller, you're live on Island T.
Yes, good morning, Island T.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Jam Down?
And you don't make me take up gun. Let me show you something. The woman make a point, you know. She make a lot of point. Me Pam friend. But I mean, it Pam no more. See? I support what he's doing with the demonstration. But let me show you something.
You're going to have to go appeal
One
to
the point will catch me just now. I had to rest on my teeth and say, well, that lady thinking like me, she live here. But she understood. She might got an idea what's going on because she seen it up here. All these foreigners who coming in here with the influence and messing up the youths. Immigration got to, as soon as 6 months go home and come back. This is how this thing's supposed to work. Because you're walking like that with what you're...
How about leave it at go home? How about leave it at go home?
Well, if you don't, heinous crime, you better go and never come back.
I don't care what anybody says. This needs to happen.
But let me show you something. Mark Wanley, he's late. Only 2 opposition in the country, me and culture. Healing and culture. And we're not stop talk. We're not going to stop talk. And I'm hoping that Azard and his leadership of the PAM party do the right thing. Come out and demonstrate. People won't come with IO. This ain't a party no more.
Yes, Jam Down. We have another caller.
We cannot allow people to come here, influencing the youth in this heinous crime, killing one another. As that more than just like that, you know.
You see, I tried, but...
you tried to put both of them on?
Well, I tried to bring in the person. But
okay.
Yeah. Okay, call us.
Thank you for your contribution, Jam Down.
828, keep your calls calling.
We have another caller?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
So yes, I was saying, I feel like a lot of different things, but I thought it was good that Clear brought up that point about the immigration. I mean, we know it was made a separate agency, but they don't really have the staffing like that, you know.
And we have to make sure those persons who are employed to protect our borders are doing just that. And also, they need to have laws where the police have the right to stop someone. You hear Spanish, you hear accent. You have the right to ask, ask them, hey, can I see your papers? Whatever. Boy, now I'm going to get some flack for that, but I don't really care. Again, we do not manufacture guns here.
Exactly.
They have to be brought in from somewhere, and so we have to be very vigilant about our borders.
And I just thought of something. You see, we were talking about the contrast between the Antigua murder rate and ours. Antigua is a lot more proactive and discerning about who they allow into their country. So there might be something there. You know how we just throw up our hands. Everything OECS comes up, we just throw up our hands. Oh yeah, let's do that. Look at Antigua, Barbados. Like, no, we can't just have people walking in here like it's a thoroughfare. And maybe that's the reason why it's only at 10. And they are rightfully outraged at the 10.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, I guess, we were thinking, we used to be up in the 30s, so 25 is nothing. I don't know. Maybe not. But
it's crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah. And we have a caller. Caller, you're live on Island T.
Caller, go ahead. Could you, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I send out good condolences to Joyce and her family on the passing of her son, please?
Yes.
I want to send my condolences to Joyce. Joyce, I just ask telling you to be strong. Weeping time in the night, but joy is coming in the morning, and I just want to give some of my strength to you to make you a little stronger. And just hold on. And this thing with immigration, right? The Prime Minister, I think now he needs to close off this movement and clean up, because nobody knows where these guns coming from. You got people just rushing in to think it. I take my 2 years and he a young dude from Jamaica saying how much people he done rob when since he think it for the 6 years to take care here and he girl and he never walk. One day going cross by the Anglican church and I hear one of them saying he will go in church and shoot up church. I don't know who he was talking to on his phone. You know, you can't be bringing in the country, people in the country and you don't know who they need to close off this thing. And when these people come in, you got to let them go. Some of them just coming in the country and they're doing what they ain't coming in invest in a factory, something where people could get work. Some of them just coming saying because this movement. And this is what mashing up the whole Caribbean because you don't know where these people link up with. You don't know the background and you,
And to your point, and to your point, the Antiguans have never been on board with it fully, and you are seeing the results. They are twice our population, and the murder rate is at 10. One is too much, but you see my point? No, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Let me tell you, right? It just breaks my heart, and I feel so sad. I never know in all my life. I will see St. Kitts today. St. Kitts is a place where I born and raised and I love St. Kitts. St. Kitts never out of me, even though I out. And I never believe that St. Kitts will reach to this with these crimes. Look at the innocent child I guess you. These is foreign crime. These is burning down woman and mashing up woman like that. I mean, I don't even have words to talk, man. Lord, it just breaks my heart. Think it is too noise for this thing, man. We got to put down our foot. You know, we got to close it off for a while and clean up. When they come in, you let them go back out. If they're illegal in the place and they go jail and when they go to prison, send them back home. You can't let them go to prison and come back on the road. Send them where they come from.
Thank you.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just heartbreaking to see St. Kitts reach to this. Everybody just watching to St. Kitts now. Everybody just watching to St. Kitts.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me that you have to tell the authorities that if these people end up in prison, deportation should follow.
Exactly.
I don't understand if that's not what happens.
They end up in prison. They go back on the way. Let me tell you something. He in the Virgin, he got a young dude at my show. I don't see him in St. Kitts. He don't go down by the center. Sylvain might know him. He named Jason. He walk funny. He from St. Kitts and he was living in St. Croix. Let me tell you, right? When I see him in St. Croix, he tell me they deport him because somebody went go rob him and he stabbed them up in a wheelchair and he stabbed up the bar and they went court. And they deport the child. He's an invalid in a wheelchair. They deport him. When these people go to prison and they come out, send them back home. How the hell you get with a crime? Look, from the time this is free movement of people, that's how more guns coming in. We had gun and crime, but I think it was a little low. But nobody know these link up. These gun and thing coming from way up. And now when people are see, nobody know these boats coming in and knock it. I mean, it's disgusting, Lord, Father God, how much in our little country. Our land of beauty, our children.
There must be technology, as you said. There must be some sort of technology that we could put across our coastlines to indicate and detect what is coming in. There must be some sort of technology.
Yeah, there is. They did talk about building out some like radar stations and so radar that would be installed.
Me head hot me, you know, and milk. They just hot me a little youth trying to do something positive. And so others could follow. He come a long way, coming out a little get trying to do something. But I mean, he lies down like that. What was going on in St. Kitts?
And you know that reminds me of that pizza. You remember the pizza guy that was across there by Morton's?
Yeah. I know you mean.
Guy doing something worthwhile with his life, and you know.
He tried to be a leader, not a follower. He's setting examples so others could follow. And you mean he life gone just, I never heard a young man in nothing yet. I never hear this young man in nothing yet. Oh, Jesus Christ, Lord, Father God, thank you, I need you no more than ever. Lord, Father God, it breaks me heart to see my little country come like this. What I born and raised and bred, I will never forget. My beloved, blessed country, God, Father, bless the Lord and bless the leader. Let him make some right decision. Get hard on the criminal and get hard on these young men who come into our country. Why some of them is no good. Some of them ain't getting killed, but some of them, maybe they got a link where they come from. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's only talking the truth. You got to weed them out, saying it is too small for that.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in the country and they're just going around and they're looking and when they get to know the place. And the next thing, when these young police passing out, I don't know if they don't do it. They need to go and show them around these ghetto. Show them all the alley, saying it got a lot of alley and road where you could go and get away. Show them when you leave this road, you could end up on the one. So when they hear crime and the person down, so they know what road to take. This is what they have to do. So them all the shortcut them and all the alleys and the byways where people could run and get away. You hear? And that's my thing for today. And Joyce, you be strong, okay? Joy come in the morning. I'm with you.
Yes.
Bye. Have a blessed
Okay,
morning,
thank you so much.
everyone.
Let's take a quick break, AZ,
Yes.
and come back and.
Yes.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
That's the familiar sound of the school bell ringing to let you know that class is in session. Listen up, class. Let your parents know that the place to shop for your back-to-school essentials is the TVC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Get up to 30% off backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, printers, and more. And while they're there, be sure to have them ask about the tech tools for teachers so we can help you achieve even more success. And remind them about Flash Sale Fridays, when you can receive even more savings just in time for the new school year. Now you know. See you at TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Class is now dismissed. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Yes, I want to read. Oh, we have a caller. Caller, you're live on Island T. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, Jams and Azard.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, man. Good morning, me brother Jam Dong. And Jacqueline, you just talk and me Connecticut from Connie with friend. Positive input. I want to say this here, please.
Yes.
All of them remarks, the comments are right. Couple years ago, not too long, one of them from Jamaica, you were living in our house. And my wife had to talk to that Jamaican about wrong things that he did to the property. And I passed my little comment, and his threats down the road were like that. He feel like to go up there and do this to me. Look how me amputated.
Wow.
So you see the kind of mentality, some of them, not all. I ain't gonna blame all. Some of them who come in this country here, just rush instead of come to family. And they're gonna overstay. And when they overstay, they influence the children of a 98% Christian society country. When somebody can shoot an innocent little, all who get dead innocent. When they can shoot a 9-year-old child, mercenary style, in the back of his head, what does that say? Kitish and Nividan ain't accustomed to them kind of behavior, do you? We don't do that. A little box and a little choke. That is it. But when you can see a 9-year-old child, what can a 9-year-old child do to an adult in the community that you can shoot them to the back of the head and kill them? Well, I want to say this. Mark Buenty, you try your best to say something, but, boy, better late than never. You ain't on no opposition bench. You're supposed to be over there, but you're in bed with the government, and you're supposed to be advising them long time about this crime. Tell them about it, don't wait till now. And 9-year-old child dead, and then the innocent one will get dead from Prickly Alley. Talk! But instead of that, you run from over there on the bench where you're supposed to be, representing the nation as leader of the opposition, and they gone over there. So therefore, we don't have no opposition. But jam down myself and Miss Connecticut and Jacqueline and all who going to speak out. They got a machine in St. Kitts. All they have to do when they go in the house of laws, let them know that that machine is going to work. We're going to try it out for 6 months or a year, and they will see the difference in the killing. They will see. But nobody wants to talk about the machine in 1840. It is a shame, man. What look, St. Kitts is only 68 square miles. Antigua is 108, and look at the population to our little cockshell population. And look at the amount of homicide, murders we got in our little countries. Anyway, when CSME was signed on to by Dr. Douglas, me and Junie Leibert, I called him on Junie Leibert radio station. And they said, Junie, CSME means Caribbean Suicidal Movement Enterprise. And Junie you see it working out now? See it working out now? A lot of them come in here say that they are in this professional in that. Just to get in. And when they get in, that's it. Can't get them out. They go influence our little youngsters them to do this and do that. Get them out of here. Whoever it is, and come in legally and contribute to the law. Otherwise, don't come in. Go back. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. I also want to read a comment that's here on the Facebook page of ILNT, and it says, I hope that suspension of leave also apply to the commander-in-chief.
Remember, I read that.
Oh, you read that already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize. Okay. Thank you, Jamsa, for that. Okay.
That's unclear, right?
Yes. I also want to read a statement by SKNIS, and this statement was issued by SKNIS. It says, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew to engage community leaders ahead of 90-day campaign on citizen security. And this was published yesterday, October 21st, 2024. And it says, Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, is set to convene a crucial meeting with community leaders, social clubs, and non-governmental groups this Friday, August 23rd, 2024. This meeting marks the beginning of a multi-pronged approach to addressing the growing concerns of violence and crime in St. Kitts and Nevis, framing them as a critical public health issue. The meeting, which will bring together a broad cross-section of society, is a preliminary engagement aimed at setting the stage for a national consultation and a 90-day campaign focused on citizen security. Dr. Drew emphasized that this effort will require the involvement and cooperation of all stakeholders, including representatives from the church and religious institutions, political parties, sports associations, clubs, private sector businesses, government technocrats, and other community-based organizations. So there is supposed to be, as I said before earlier, consultation on Friday.
This is just another example of the kind of reactive window dressing that happens. Window dressing, not actively addressing the problem, just window dressing. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I don't know what's going to be different, but I think we had a lot of really good actionable ideas this morning. I mean, that's, that thing that lady said about the policemen, they have these police officers from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Just that little exercise about going to the alleys is actually a very effective one. and let them know where the alleys lead and say, okay, this one leads from. That's, I mean, as simple as it sounds, it's very, very, and letting them know
And just
where all
the very appearance of the police, you know, creates some sort of assurance or some sort of perception of security. We have another caller. Caller, you're live.
Good morning to everyone.
Hi,
Greetings
Gregory.
in Jesus' name. Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Greetings in Jesus' name as well.
Yes, thank you. You know, the Bible says, if you turn away your ears from my law, I will not hear you. So until we come to realize and enforce the Bible as the only true constitution and the law, the supreme law of the land, no matter how much we pray, he will not hear us.
Okay, thank you, Gregory.
That's what the Bible says.
Yes.
To turn away your ear from his law, he will not hear you.
Okay.
That's where the answers start, with the Bible.
Okay.
In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Gregory, for
Okay,
your
thank
contribution.
you.
I guess God is mad we don't all go and buy guns. Or apply to get gun licenses or whatever. I don't know.
Yes. So there is the symposium that is to happen. And there was an article on St. Kitts Nevis Times. There was an article on St. Kitts Nevis Times. Let me see. Whereby there was some allegations of there being some sort of tension between the police and the advisors. I think I recall something being circulated from that.
Well,
yeah.
Well, this is really no time to be having interagency squabbling, people. Sorry. Check your egos and let's get this crime sorted out.
Yeah.
We call go right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Jam, so good morning again.
Hey, what's up?
Yes.
Everything that my good friend in St. Croix just talked about, she's right. And this alley thing, since in Timothy time we talking about it, man. And the young man said she told her about, so get deported from St. Croix. She introduced him to me right down Portland there. He's in a wheelchair. He don't go down the community center down in that night. I know him well. I know him every time I see him on Portland, we go in the food court because certain time they don't go over there and the store, the shops them, they give them the free thing when they go over there. They eat and drink for the day and line. They know me well. But Jacqueline is right. And everything culture says culture is right. And we ain't going to go to this crime thing. I have a question.
Yes.
When is the symposium?
It's on Friday.
Yeah, but the catechizing in it, that should be on the air just as the headline news them and all the radio station. According to Johnson, Joe need this thing, you know. And the 1 hour Nevis, you know, he ain't in opposition, you know. He's not no opposition. And I'm warning them, you know. They are hoping this killing ain't political, you know. Have a good morning.
Well, let me clarify. I'm not gonna say he doesn't. I'm not gonna say he isn't serious about crime. I don't think anyone wants crime. But what I mean is, I really want to see seminal change in the approach to crime fighting and doing extreme, like I was just telling AZ before, extreme circumstances call for extreme measures, and people can talk. Let people talk all they want. The Antiguans and the Bajans do what they gotta do. They're like, hey, we're not on board with that. You know, we're not doing that. We need to adopt. We just throw up our hands and accept everything. One of the, and obviously, people from other islands, countries, they're not the whole kit and caboodle of the crime problem, but that's a good place to start, along with some other things.
Yes.
Putting some pressure on the U.S. about gun tracking and so on. There are a lot of things that can be done. So me calling this symposium window dressing, I mean, this is just, I mean, let's be real. This is just another case of every time something happens, they rush and they do something that looks good. It makes the optics for the government, whoever the government in power is, it makes the optics of them look good. When I argue that the underlying let's say the underlying architecture to really get to the root of the problem isn't there. To me, they expend more effort on the window dressing than the actual mechanics of rooting out the crime and dealing with the crime problem on a whole macro level, socially, economically, everything else. That's how I see it. You know,
Jamster, I did an analysis of the situation, and the highest number of homicides for the year has been in this month. We've had 6.
Oh, really?
Homicides in this month. 6. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The other month that had many was February. February had about 5.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. In January we had 1.
January had 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only month so far in this year whereby we haven't had any recorded homicides was March. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No homicides. Oh.
Yeah, March. Yeah.
Maybe they were observing Lent or something. I don't know.
Yeah, March was the only month. And then we had in April. April was a bit of very close together. And I recall, because I wear many hats. I recall doing a People's Action Movement perspective show whereby in April or thereabout we spoke about the press conference and the statements made by the national advisor, and really saying that those statements were unfortunate as it relates to persons just buying a ticket and leaving.
I really think though that I think too much that really got too much traction. He was just he was being glib in an official way, saying, listen, we're gonna you could say, well, that was a lot of talk and nothing happened since he made that speech. But this whole thing about he shouldn't have said, they should have, I mean, to me that's that's not the important thing. What you should be maybe attacking him about is, well, what's going on, not about what he said. That's not that important. But people make...
There would be persons, and I mean, I support the view in that I think the statements that he made were very unfortunate. I don't think that they were...
well thought out, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think
I
that
agree.
When you have certain positions of authority, the expectation is greater on you, and you have to be very careful in what you say and in what you say, especially at that level. When you are the National Security Advisor, there is a National Security Press Conference. In April, we saw about 5 homicides, and so if we were to look at the year, we had January had 1, February had 5, March had 0, and then it comes in April again with 5. And so...
And then he had something like what they're having.
The press conference, and then making that statement, I think...
So you see what I mean?
Persons...
Reactive.
Yeah, persons were of the opinion, okay, something is going to happen, something is going to be said. There's going to be some assurance that the crime situation is going to be taken seriously. And then you hear those statements, and then you are left in awe or shock by those statements. And then the perception is, if he's going to say those statements, and this is the person who advises the government, then really and truly we are not in a good situation. That is the perception.
Cleo's asking about the Coast Guard. I know they were supposed to be getting some more Coast Guard vessels because I think they recognized that the two islands coastlines had to be patrolled properly to make sure that you didn't have people just slipping in illegally. there are so many fronts on which this this crime crisis can be tackled, and I'm not sure if they're listening.
We have to be
honestly.
And the thing about it, there have been accusations made in relation to, police force, the officers. We really have to look through and do a thorough search about in relation to persons who enter the police force.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
Understand? We have to make sure that those who
better
enter,
screening. Yeah.
There's a screening process, a very rigorous screening process, that you get the best of the best, and that there aren't persons inside who are making problems. You understand?
And we also have to take a look at the fact that this is the elephant in the room when it comes to the police force. That hardly anyone local wants to join the police force. You have to bring in people from Dominica and St. Vincent and so on. Why is that? That needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
In
addition to on the offset, in terms of thinking about what you've just said, if you have persons overseas, sometimes I think at least they're not familiar, so to speak, with the community, and the hope is that because of the lack of familiarity, then maybe there would be, for me, thinking the positive, that they would exercise their duty without discretion, without favoritism. Yes.
Yeah.
I would hope that would be
absolutely.
a positive. Because sometimes, depending on who's involved and you're close to that person from the community, you might not want to take the necessary action.
Yeah.
And that is another disadvantage of a small community and a small society. There is the benefit that there's familiarity. We know persons and may be well aware of who is doing what. On the flip side, we know persons, and maybe based on our close proximity, there might be persons who don't want to exercise certain power because of the close familiarity.
In a sense, I think we're too nice as a people, because I remember during Team Unity there were two big immigration raids, right? And I was actually pleasantly shocked. I was like, wow, more of that needs to happen. But I really think that Mark Brantley's idea about bringing back the RSS should be taken on board, because that's the only way you probably might have the additional manpower to assign some local officers as well as some RSS officers to the immigration problem and trying to root out some of the people who might be here illegally or even legally and possibly causing problems.
Yes.
Because you realize that legal thing is a ticklish issue, because they just need to come here and say that maybe they're supposed to stay for 6 months, but they overstay. So technically they're here legally, right? At least in the first instance, the 6 month instance, right? And then, oh boy.
And if you look at the number, if you look at the persons who have died, as it relates to gunshot, majority of those persons come from constituency number 8. Majority of those persons, the address of the victims, are from that constituency.
You have a call coming.
Yes.
9 o'clock. Caller, go right ahead. Oh, wait. Let's see. Caller, go right ahead. Okay, let's go to the next. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Good to you guys, and God bless. I just want to say...
Okay, please be brief, because it's 9 o'clock. I have to take a break, but go ahead.
Yes, I'm just saying it's a bad thing for what has happened over the last couple of days. However, what you all are discussing boils down to society. One, our people have to realize we have qualified and capable here who can be good police officers. But I think sometimes we believe we cannot do it ourselves. And in the process of doing that, we're not realizing the same persons who refuse for whatever reason sometimes. The same gang thing that we say we want to fight, we don't get them in positive things, they're going to get in something that we don't like. And therefore, yes, you might have one or two police officers who may be doing the wrong thing, but sometimes we let it overshadow that as it is the entire police force. It is not. What needs to happen, what we should say, and we should encourage the police to do, get rid of those persons. I must say again, in the process of the police might want to do that. You might have interference because of who the person is and what connects you up. And some people may not like to hear it, but because of the political thing. And the problems to solve what we have the answers, we have the solutions. Sometimes hearing them because of who's saying them and actually doing them are two different things. But all I want to say, I want us as a nation, some people may not like it as well, but to pray for our nation. I'm calling upon the churches. You do not necessarily have to come on the street. Stay in your church, stay in your communities, and pray. If you want to have a national day of prayer, nothing wrong with that. But we have to pray for our nation because this, yes, is a criminal thing, but it's also a spiritual thing. Yes, I'm into the politics as well, but I know it is also a spiritual thing. The pastors, the preachers and teachers, let your voices be heard. Because as some of you guys might be saying, it doesn't matter what the government of thinks, so we need certain things, we also need spiritual help from God, from Jesus Christ. This is what we need. Let's say we need all hands on deck. We need all solutions, including prayer for our nation and them. I just want to end there and say, God bless St. Peter Nevis. Peace be to St. Peter Nevis. Peace be to Constituency 7. God bless Constituency 7. God bless you all, and God touch the hearts and mind of those people who are doing wrong to change them to the good, because all of us are interested. That's my piece. So also in crime fighting, we also have to remember the success of the police is not necessarily the amount of arrests we have. That is why I would say familiarity is very important. When I could tell you, Jamsa, it is wrong to do what you're doing, you might listen to me. I may see your son or your daughter going to do something wrong, hey, I know your father, do not get in those companies. But if I do not know you, I may not give a key. And therefore we have to realize.
So more community.
This, it might sound as if it's the past.
More community policing.
You're going to finish at one point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
1 point.
No. I was just saying you're advocating more community policing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because what happened, and all the persons will let you know. Back in the day, people used to play dominoes, football, cricket, and all these things with police, and crime was very low. We have walked away from those things. And I am saying that we should look and examine our situation. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, the police don't talk to people, but the people don't talk to the police either. They get the police come up with a situation as if we against them, and the police force is not for that. The police force is to, listen to the word, prevent crime, the protection of life and the property. Yes, investigation will come in if it happens, but a lot of persons are emphasizing first and arresting people. If you prevent crime, you have no one to be arrested. And I think that is the problem. Some people in our society, all they want to see is people get arrested and getting locked up as opposed to people being prevented from committing crime in the first place. When persons commit crime, they get a criminal record. They cannot travel. And it creates other problems. Your house, or you might be the big person become a victim. What about talking to the persons in the first place to not get involved in crime and criminal activity? And I just want to stop there to let us think and reflect. Do we want a lot of people in prison? Or do we want to prevent people from going to prison? And by they're not going to prison, that means they didn't hurt anyone, they didn't damage anyone's property, they didn't steal anyone's property. And encourage employment. We have to get our people back in employment. Back in employment also means we have sport. I'm so happy to see a lot of our young persons are making it in cricket. It's a form of employment. We've been neglected in sports. Over the years, sports have gone down, and us realizing sport is a work, it's a job. Just like how we could sit down and look at TV and look at other persons playing sports, why can't we look at our own? These are some of the things that could help. Let us encourage our people. There are a lot of areas that is jobs. Job creation is very important, and this is also based in the Bible. Keep your mind constructively busy, and it prevents evil thoughts from coming in. Also farming. The Bible talks about farming, toiling the soil. These things are simple things that could help, but you know what? People want sophisticated things and moving away from things that used to work back then, and until even realizing the further we move, the deeper we get in criminality, the deeper we get in things. But I also just want to say, Christians, pastors, preachers, teachers of the word of God, evangelists, let people know that God, Jesus Christ, is also a very important factor in all this criminality. Because the scripture will tell us, man will be the person who might commit these things, but it's the devil and his imps fall into the mind to get persons with that. Thank you very much for listening to me. God bless you. Peace to all.
Okay.
Thank you for your contribution. We're going to take the short break.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Edinburgh Napier University, the #1 modern university in Scotland, is now recruiting for their September 2024 intake and is holding an information session at the Kuna Caribbean Conference Centre, located at the corner of Wilkins Street and St. Johnson Avenue, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on August 27th. Edinburgh Napier University's programs, which include the AACSB accredited MBA and BA Business Top-Up for associate degree holders, are 100% online, 100% flexible, and 100% relevant. Reserve a place at www.seidegrees.com. That's www.seidegrees.com.
The CPL is back for 2024, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are ready for the fight. This year, it will be the best ever CPL, with global superstars, massive sixes, and incredible entertainment at the biggest party in sport.
There are 5 games between August 31st and September 8th.
Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at Warner Park. Turn it up and experience cricket played louder.
And we are back.
And as indicated there during the break, it says here that there's a comment here by Ja Create. And it says, what I would love to see the government do for the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis is to look up all those foreigners who are in the country illegally. The immigration need to break down the doors of the foreigners and anyone found to be running. They need to be investigated for crime. All those deportees who get deported back to St. Kitts also need to be investigated for anything and why were they deported, and also keep a track of them. As the little 9-year-old child that was murdered, I don't feel it was an act of Kittitian. It is not the way how Kittitians live. It is time to clean up the place. All kinds of criminals are coming to St. Kitts and Nevis. The government needs to put the immigration to work through every lane and alleyway. Don't take my words lightly. Put down your foot. And that was a comment on the Facebook page by Jack Create.
To that point, I just thought of something. You know how in the U.S. they have sexual offender lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a measure that could be implemented is when these deportees come in here,
Mm-hmm.
they publish their names, their
Mm-hmm.
pictures, and they let us know what these people were deported for.
Mm-hmm.
As a way of keeping a sort of national neighborhood watch. Is like, okay, this person, I don't care, you're embarrassed. You should have thought about that when you got yourself in trouble.
There's a number of comments here by Mike Warrington. He says, call up and deploy RSS. It was done in 2018. I went through some of the security checks by the Shadwell roundabout and other places. I felt safe. I don't feel safe in St. Kitts and Nevis under the current climate, and many others share this sentiment. Also have a long-term crime fighting strategy. There also needs to be a Coast Guard base either in Sandy Point or St. Paul's area, and one in Nevis. Drone bases for police and Coast Guard.
And as an adjunct to that, I know they spoke about setting up radar stations, radar, RADAR, where they would have Defense Force and Coast Guard people manning them. So, for example, if a boat is coming anywhere on the coastlines of both islands.
We should be able to have that technology to know what is happening and put the right persons there, because oftentimes there might be some perception because if you have persons looking at the borders and there's proper technology to detect anyone who comes in illegally, then if things still continue to happen as it is, the perception is that they are working with someone inside.
Yeah, because I get the impression that some of these people in these islands, Jamaica for example, they hear that St. Kitts is the new El Dorado 2.0, and they're just rushing coming here, and they have nobody here. I mean, are they making sure these people have two-way tickets? I mean, do you know where they're staying? Do you have family here? If you don't have family here, do you have a hotel booking? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? All of these are the kind of things that need to be done. And I have to get back to what I was saying about an offenders list. If you're a deportee, they can liaise with the American Justice Department and find out what it was they were deported for. You publish their pictures in some place where everyone can see them. We know exactly what this person was deported for. I don't care about you being embarrassed. You should have thought about that when you got yourself in trouble.
And it says, and based on some information that I am seeing, it says at 10 o'clock there's the Premier's press conference.
Yes.
And there's also at 10 o'clock a press conference with the Minister of Foreign Affairs for St. Kitts and Nevis, both at 10.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, so we have Premier's press conference at 10 and a press conference with the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas.
Why couldn't they liaise and have them?
That, you know, strangely enough, St. Kitts Nevis Times published something about 2 minutes ago talking about the time of both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And said in an unprecedented political showdown, both the senior minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, and opposition leader Matt Brantley will each hold press conferences at 10 a.m. sharp, but in separate venues. He goes on to say this reoccurrence has sparked significant public interest, as both leaders are expected to address critical national issues, potentially shaping the political landscape. We have a caller. Caller, you're live on Island T.
Yes, I'd like to ask, all these things that you all are recommending in the name of fighting crime, who would pay for them in the end and ultimately?
What do you mean?
Who will be stuck with the bill?
Well, Gregory,
a lot of these things have been budgeted for already. Some of the things we talked about have been budgeted for already. I guess they're just, for example, the boats, the additional boats to the Coast Guard. I think those have already been paid for. They're just waiting for them to arrive. If I'm not,
But Gregory, shouldn't the resources of the state be used to protect its citizens? Wouldn't that be best? That the government would put in some resource to protect its citizens? Wouldn't people feel better that way?
When we don't do things the Bible way, we put ourselves in unnecessary
But Gregory,
expenses.
Gregory, you have made some suggestions. Some of your suggestions are not very popular. You have suggested that we do things the Bible way, okay? But in your suggestion, you have suggested that everyone bear arms, bear guns, be able to carry guns. We see that the use of guns by persons who are prone to violence, persons who do not have the mental or we see that persons use guns to kill people, but you still advocate that everyone should have access to a gun.
Hold on. Let me say something about this mental thing they all keep banding about. Okay? First of all, even mental person still have the right to defend their lives.
So you're saying someone who is mentally challenged should have a gun?
They still have the right to defend their life. But let me give you something. Let me say something. You remember a few years back, a mental child, well, I shouldn't say child, a mental young man. He shoot up some people at a cinema. He had a mental issue.
Go ahead.
You know, after he did that, when they went and searched his diaries, you know what he said in his diary?
What did he say?
He said in his diary, the theaters, the cinemas that were near him, because they allow people to carry guns, he is not going there. He wants to go where he can maximize his damage. And he drove, and he's going to a cinema that was further away from him to do his damage because that cinema did not allow people to carry guns. So said, so done.
Gregory, you have a very absolute view on this use of
Mental
guns.
people still got sense.
But Gregory, if he didn't have access to a gun in the first place, easily...
You cannot prevent that. You can't, because even yesterday you all said there are people who had mental people who had guns illegally.
Yes, but
that's not something you could
Gregory, we can put measures in place to reduce the number of persons who have access to guns. You are suggesting that no measure be put in place.
A gun can get in 72 hours on the black market. Anybody.
So
it's just a fantasy thinking that it could stop you from getting gun.
But
so we shouldn't have laws. That's like saying, oh, don't require people to have driver's licenses because people drive anyway. I mean, come on, man.
Gregory, you are very extreme in your views. And for the most part, Gregory, some of your views have been very contradictive. For example, you have said, right, Gregory, that God puts in the minds of persons evil thoughts for them to act upon, and then judge them for the thoughts that he placed in their minds.
So what the Bible says when God creates evil, what does the Bible mean by that?
Gregory,
God creates evil and he does them all.
Let's take another call. Caller, go right ahead. Hey, caller, go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, aye. That's all I'm gonna say for that.
Yes.
Jamster, I agree with you with the offenders list.
Yeah.
I so agree with you with that. And years ago, I've been calling about a sex offenders list. Do we have a sex offenders list in St. Kitts?
I don't know, but yeah, that would definitely have to be included as well.
We need
Because an offenders list would publish everything. So yeah, but start with the deportees and yeah.
I am with you with that. My husband was just giving me a joke. That we said 1 year he had lost his license and it was published in the newspaper. His license was suspended and it was actually published in the newspaper. So do they do that still? License was suspended and it was actually published.
No, I don't think that.
No,
because there are a
so.
number of persons who drive with expired license and do come before the court, and I don't see their names in the newspaper.
Oh,
at least.
okay then.
I don't know if, because there are some, and I'm not tracking. There are sometimes that the police would publish certain make publications on their Facebook page.
Okay.
I haven't tracked to see if they have tracked that. Yes, but Facebook and social media has really taken root in certain way in which bodies communicate.
Caller, go right ahead. Island T.
Youngster, morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Mr. Gill has some really outlandish ideas when it comes to Christianity. And for me personally, if I am to follow him, there'll be no repentance for me. That would make no sense.
Yeah.
He literally just stated that the person knowingly decided to go to a cinema to shoot up unarmed individuals instead of going to a place where persons have guns. And he's going to call that person a mental case. Dude, that makes no sense. Makes no sense. Persons who are schizophrenic, have mental issues, the presence of thought is different. They're not going to make those critical statements or thought processes in order to do that. That don't make any sense to me. Secondly, crime situation definitely out of hand, by far. By the time we hit one, way out of hand. Right? Two, I personally don't think that we need an army. Split the army. Disband it, Coast Guard, police.
And immigration, because
Put down
immigration needs
and
to be staffed up.
Put
yeah.
down outposts, Bay, Sandy Point for Coast Guard, Southeast for Coast Guard, Nevis 2 points, and Nevis for patrols or for patrolling our borders. When they come to the police, your boys to the police, your boys to immigration, at all ports, so that they can supplement each other to work. We must have redundancies in place, and that don't make any sense when we don't have any redundancies. To say that you're going to call back portions off of vacation or leave to come back on, and then you're going to say you must take leave. It's contradictory. It means that you don't have the forces in order to manage a small island like St. Kitts. We don't need an army for that. And if you're going to keep the army, place them in roles that you know they're going to be effective. They gave, a couple years ago, powers of arrest, not a couple, a while now, powers of arrest to the army, working alongside the police. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you're going to do that, change the uniforms, because to me, it's just a force being on the road that's terrorizing law-abiding citizens. People don't talk for certain reasons.
It looks kind of, I take that point.
That to me, that it doesn't sit well with persons. When people going to carry the children in school and them kind of stuff, they have persons on the road with M16s and registries just standing up, holding them like, what? We in a police state? No. And these kids have to go to school. No. That is unacceptable. There has to be a different thought process going into how we're going to curb all of this drama that happening. If you know you have a list, former Prime Minister put something together, work with that list. If they need ideas, let me give them one. All of the individuals who they knowingly engage in situations like this here, big man, all you got to do is what? Search every one of their house. If you think they got a woman here, there, you ramp up the house too. Who father and mother of a young lady gonna have a potential suitor for their child, have police coming into their house for the morning? But send back the pressure upon them. What is the problem?
Absolutely.
It is out of hand. Put back the pressure upon them, but they have nowhere to go, nothing to do. What is the problem?
And also, I also think that the police, I don't know if AZ agrees with me, but you look at that incident that happened in Antigua, the 15-year-old. Mm-hmm. You wonder, remember we were talking about, it was said that the last time she was seen alive was after 3 in the morning. Now, what is a 15-year-old doing out at 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah. But that's parenting too, no?
Right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like one of the things that the police need to become a lot more community oriented, where when they see minors, I remember when I was a kid, police would pull you up like, what are you doing out of school? Like, I might have left maybe Bastille High, maybe I went downtown, maybe I went to Laws to buy a pen or something at like 10:30 in the morning, and police will pull you up like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You shouldn't be in school. I said, no, I just went to Laws to get something. You know? This is the kind of thing.
But them laws still on the books downstairs.
But, I mean, you know, I always talk about how the cops, I see, sometimes I'm doing stupidness, not intentionally. And police pass by and they don't even say anything. That needs to change. So, clearly the police training culture and the police attitude towards their profession needs to change as well. Because, to your point,
just training culture. I think it's more of attitude.
Yeah,
I think it's
attitude,
training culture because the training has been consistent straight through. They might have updated the training based on technology and everything else, but the culture, the mentality needs to change. They're looking at, look, just like how these criminals figuring that they're getting ideas from TV and what goes on in the US and Europe market and them kind of places, and applying it to St. Kitts.
And Jamaica. Let's not forget. Yeah.
My brethren, They're doing the same thing when it comes to the police. They're looking at the US. We have laws here that protect each and every civilian. The police can't just walk up to me and come tell me they want to see my ID. Our laws protect the citizen. This is real freedom that we have here. You can't just walk up and demand that you want to see my ID. Who is you? I have the freedom according to the Constitution to go wherever I feel like in St. Kitts Nevis. Right? So if these are the laws that are here, and this is being trained, for police to just come and walk up to a person and body slamming or manhandle you without telling you, introducing himself, these are all preambles the police know, and they have to do. Technicalities like this, as Azard would know, would make them lose cases.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make no sense. They know what to do. They have to know and do exactly what they're being trained to do.
Yeah, they have to imply their training.
Absolutely.
And the problem is, they feel like they have all of the ideas, because even self to have persons who work inside of the system, that are outside the system, that have ideas that can help them. They're disregarding individuals and their ideas as what? Again, in the police, no.
And
former commissioner is going to indicate that he had stuff there for over 15 years as in recommendations that were never enacted or even looked upon or even considered. I mean, come on. You don't have all the ideas.
Exactly.
Former Prime Minister Timothy Harris didn't have all of the ideas, but he was open to hearing what people had to say. I don't like politics because politics always leaves what things the previous administration was trying to do on a good side and just discard it as trash because it ain't come from the party, so me not use it.
Yeah, that's true.
At the end of the day, still people. You think at some point in time, the majority of St. Kitts, apart from those persons who are coming in because of free movement, at some point you can trace your lineage and say that majority of the persons them would have been touched by some form of gun violence on St. Kitts Nevis because of how our families have been set up.
Mm-hmm.
Basically interbreeding. Somebody can say, a cousin from over there, oh yeah, he was my cousin, a cousin of a cousin, or something like that, and you figure that this is acceptable. It's not acceptable because it's 15 times cousin. It is not acceptable either way.
Yeah.
I calculated before 2 weeks ago, I calculated the list of homicides that would have happened from 2003, 2004. I saw it in an article online for St. Kitts up to 2023. I think at that point it was at 11 for 2024. And you had over 400 young men and women that would have lost their lives out of St. Kitts. Over 400.
Wow, when
You
put
know the gravity of it. Nobody to calculate this stuff. Do it for yourself. I'll leave it to you. When you calculate it, I calculated it as 408 then.
wow, 408. When put that
And
way.
people talking about going up on 60 in 2 years. What?
Wow. Yeah, that's
I have
pretty.
lost family members to gun violence. Not because people don't mean that they were not touched. And it touches people in different ways. Immediate family members would feel it very hard. But nobody knows how persons live with their family members. It could be a cousin, but a cousin would be closer to you than a brother would be.
Yes.
Something needs to be done. And don't tell me that you're going to do something that's going to impact the entire society when the entire society is not the ones that are suffering.
And so I want to see, I really would have liked to have easy. I really would have liked to know that symposium, is it going to be Friday?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Was gonna be broadcast for everyone to hear, and I really want to hear. All these ideas. I mean, the caller's talking about some of the things that I have talked about in the past, and about take for example all the Defense Force and Coast Guard bases and so on. I know they had spoken about. Getting additional vessels for patrolling of the two coastlines and radar stations. I don't know if you had heard about that, caller.
I have.
So
I've also heard persons talk about drones. We already have drones here. Why they're not in use?
Yeah.
They had them on display on Bank Street.
You see, that's the thing. They're into this
just before the city TVs them was fully enacted.
Mm-hmm. There's this window dressing thing we do.
Fickle memories when they see things, because they're basically thinking about politics. I hate politics.
Thank you.
I hate politics because politics clouds people's minds and judgments to the actual things that affect the common man and woman in St. Kitts and Nevis. I hate politics. I would never say I hate politicians, but I hate politics because it's just like lawyers. It's two sides. You can't hate lawyers. Either side have a job to do. They do their jobs. But at the same time...
You say you can't hate lawyers? Hold my beer.
They got a job to do.
I'm joking.
They're working within a confines, right? They have the law, and they're working within the confines of the law, right? Somebody has to be defended, and the other one has to be prosecuted. No problem. It depends on how they see their view. They'll try and spin it however they want. But it's the same thing that happens. That's why they teach debating in high school. Right? And it's literally a debate. But the problem is, when you're in government, you're supposed to be telling the people the truth, because what? You now work for yourself, you work for the population. Imagine me going to put you as a head of my company, and because I sitting down home, you're thieving all of my money and telling me everything good. Why do I have you as the CEO?
Exactly, because you realize in that very corporate analogy you use, these people will be fired at the drop of a hat the minute they step out of line, as far as the interests of the
We
company.
are the board of directors. What do you mean? We're supposed to be coming to you to beg you for nothing because we're the board of directors. So it's simple. You know that there's things that need to be done in order to ensure that the population is taken care of. That is your primary duty, to ensure that the population is taken care of. Not to see that the interests of international communities is sorted out before your people. That is why I don't disguise politics, because they tend to lose focus as to what actually needs to be done for the country. We have a crime situation right now that needs to get sorted. We have a health situation that needs to get sorted. We have a food situation that needs to get sorted. Sit down in cabinet and itemize and say, these are the things that we need to put together plans for. If you're up there and you never work in a field in your life, bring in people who work in a field and find out what the issues be. Don't leave it up to one person. You, as the Prime Minister, is head of the country. Everything will fall at your feet at the end of the day. At the end of the day, are you in charge? So for me, the crime situation needs to get sorted. They need to have real ideas come forward that is not going to cause, when September come and school open, and you're going across, you're going to traffic leading all the way down, going down by Ras, because you have police checkpoint on one side, and on the eastern coastline, traffic going all the way back into Atlas, because and what, the children them need to be going to school. I mean, hello. There are other ways of doing this. The lady was asking about driver's licenses. They literally now send out an email from Inland Revenue to say that your driver's license is going to be expired. So if you miss that email, or you change your email address, or you didn't update your information, and you end up in court, you're at fault. Because everybody always on their phone. The emails are always on their phone.
Good point.
So there's, I'm thankful that they updated the infrastructures to a level where you can have situations like this happening, because people thinking about their day-to-day lives and feeding their families and making ends meet and everything else.
But on that point, though,
like having the tag change, you don't really be thinking about or renewing your driver's license. Got in your pocket, you do really to take it out unless you have business to do with it. So no problem. I embrace that.
But at the start of a semi-facetious point, though, and I would like to hear what AZ says about this. They send a notice about your thing, and he went about your license being, and he went to spam.
It's whether or
how
not
does that work?
It's
in court,
properly communicated. Well, what is it that they're sending?
Like the caller is saying that they maybe sent you, let's say, a week before, or 2 weeks, that your driver's license is gonna expire.
Yes.
You need to come in and do it.
Yes.
And
but at the end of the day, the offices communicate with you. The onus is still upon you to ensure that you are aware, because when we are issued a driver's license, we are issued a date of expiration as well. And so the communication helps.
That's 3 years out. Nobody don't remember that.
But the communication helps, but you can't. I don't think you can shift the onus from you to an organization to remind you.
I'm not saying that.
In terms of Jamsters.
No, but I was just saying. Let's say you got arrested and then you said, "But I forgot," and then they say, "Well, they sent you a notice."
And my point still remains. I mean, at the end of the day, the reminder is good. Let's not lose the message that I'm saying. I'm saying a reminder is good. It's great. Jamsters made the point that, let's say the message goes to spam. At the end of the day, you are still supposed to ensure that you are aware of what is happening, even though a reminder is sent. A reminder is sent as a matter of courtesy, not to shift responsibility. That is my position.
I must admit that I cannot disagree with you there. So.
Okay then.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. But we need you to call more.
Day,
yeah.
Yes, we need to have better solutions, because as we were talking previously a while back, when it comes to the tin situation.
Yes.
I mean, that is not a method that actually aids in what is happening right now. Clearly, it is not one of those situations that's helping.
There are persons who talk about the tint, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I remember a comment, because I said, I think all approaches help. And I say this because on its own, people look at tint and say, well, police stopping people for tint. But if you put it alongside that, there could be persons who are, we live in a very small society, and oftentimes we see persons out there who persons are looking for, and for whatever reason, they can't find them yet. We look, and there are vehicles that could be transporting these individuals that are heavily tinted, whereby even if a notice is sent, a person of interest, if these persons utilize a vehicle that is heavily tinted, the average person who's on the road, who might have seen the individual move from one location to the next, cannot report it because they have not seen the person. In the instance as well, there might be persons who are approaching individuals to do whatever, and that person cannot see what is happening in front of them to prepare themselves. So on its own, I understand. It sounds like, police being trivial, but if you look at it on a whole, I think that there is still use for the law as it is.
Do you realize that if somebody is going to transport something and they want nobody to know about it, there's multiple places inside of a vehicle that it can be stored until they get to their final destination?
Also, too, I'm talking about humans. It is
I'll get into that part.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Secondly, when it comes to individuals,
yes,
if an individual knows that they're wanted by the police, there's no way on God's earth they're going to be transporting themselves or looking for somebody to transport them during the day. And even if you're traveling at night in an untinted, mind you, untinted vehicle at night, the glare from any vehicle coming in the opposite direction, you can't see who's in whatever back seat or even inside of a bus, except for the bus driver.
I take that point in the night that persons could be transported, but I also think that
if God forbid that I know that police is looking for me, or I suspect the police is looking for me, Roger, there's nowhere coming outside. I'm going to send somebody to get me water, juice, crackers, whatever else I need.
But let's look at it this way.
From where
You made a valid point, and you said that even with an untinted vehicle, they could use in night because they could be masked in the night. What we do then, we know that at least they would not be able to use it there. Because if we say, okay, they could have the heavy tint, then they could automatically rule, they could, okay, without the implementation of the heavy tint, right? Then they could use it there still, because no one is searching. At least with the enforcement of the tint. Okay, go ahead. But let me finish my point first. But let me finish.
When you look at the day, let's take for instance the day. There have been in situations that have happened during the daytime.
Yes.
Right? And whether or not the tint or tint was involved, I don't know. However, this is daytime. We have full city TVs, cameras all around the island. What excuses can be given where you cannot follow or backtrack an incident from where it culminated back to where it originated?
Okay, so let me say this, right? As I was making the point that if you do away with the tint, then everybody could mask themselves during the day, right? So you give persons the opportunity to be transported not only at night but in the day. If you still enforce the laws where you have regulation as relates to tint, at least you rule out the day. It would mean that most of persons, as you said, would transport during the night, and so police could use the resources to focus on the evening. If you rule out the law, then you have police having to do work extensively in the day and also extensively in the evening. Also, you said that you could use the cameras, and that's true. But why eliminate the list of options to fewer options at your disposal when you could use greater options? And you could also...
Now, in terms of the options, as you were speaking to, we have a situation right now where temperatures are skyrocketing through the roof. And everybody in SK have air conditioning running in their vehicle. So you're now going to be looking at the majority of vehicles either running AC or windows are down.
Yes.
Right? For vehicles that are heavily tinted or not so heavily tinted and the air conditioning is working, they'll be running AC.
Yeah.
But the majority of the vehicles, their windows are going to be down. People, police, whomever can see in every one of those vehicles.
But you're talking about persons.
But one of the things that needs to be pointed out
does not stop these incidents from happening.
No, I don't think that tint alone tint. What I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is that, and I like to say this, is that I think at this point in time, we have so much of a crime situation as it relates to crime. I think we should employ all options at our disposal, not eliminate some.
No, I agree with you. However, if you've noticed, one of the major pushes has been what we have just about. Now, if we're talking about it in a vacuum,
Okay.
It does not help
Yeah, guy.
left or right.
Hang on, Cleo.
Cleo, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm holding.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to say, I'm not against. I know that there is because of the extreme heat, there would be some inconvenience. But I am always of the view, and I mean, there must be a balanced approach. I'm not totally against the enforcement of the tint, because at the end of the day, I think that persons, if there's no law to really regulate that, then persons would take advantage of that. You understand? And it would give persons increased access to transport themselves during the day. We see shootings not only at night. We are now seeing it in the day. We're seeing robbery in the day. I do not think that it would be wise to eliminate that law, considering that these persons who do criminal activity during the day might mask themselves by being transported in a heavily tinted vehicle, and then police don't have the authority to stop the vehicle
my
on the
issue,
grounds that.
But if you're hinging on that, you'll also take into consideration that if it is during the day and it's heavily tinted, the cameras play the primary role in apprehending.
Wait.
But why are we looking at tint as only to the lens of crime? How about heat?
But we're looking at the current situation here, and
sustainability and all that.
I think when the tint was implemented, it was because of identification and being able to identify persons.
Okay, Cleo,
I just want to finish the point. To finish the point. You talk about cameras. We've seen cameras being implemented in various areas, right? We've seen the robberies for ourselves through the cameras. We've seen that persons are heavily masked and persons escape. Persons may escape on foot. They may use vehicle to escape. Let me ask you the question: if we take out,
they are the cameras of the individuals' places of business or neighbors. But what I'm talking about is cameras that are manned and operated by the police, and they are on the road. And what I am saying is, if you're going to know that there's a situation that happened at point A, and you cannot track those individuals who would have left, who would have been heavily attired from point A to Z, where they finally end up, what is the use of it?
Okay, because that's one option. And you are then relying heavily on fewer options, whereby let's say that someone leaves in a heavily tinted vehicle, and all the vehicles are tinted. All vehicles are tinted. They could be tinted at whatever capacity. There's no law regulating tint, so everybody could have heavily tinted vehicle. What would give the police authority to stop a vehicle that has been heavily tinted if there's no need for police, there's no authority for police to stop a vehicle that has vehicles in that manner?
There has always been the law that states that the police can stop you as an individual or a vehicle on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis and say that my name is such and such and we're searching for guns and ammunition. That law has never changed. It had nothing at all to do with tint at that time.
That may be so.
Them that right to do that.
Okay, let's hear Cleo, because Cleo's been on the line forward. Cleo, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. You can't. The car went where I was going. Cause I was going to ask a question, right? You have the CCTV cameras.
Yeah.
Is there someone manning them 24/7?
That's a question.
For example, right? You have Mount Vernon in New York. Once you enter Mount Vernon, you're on camera.
Yes.
From you enter till when you leave, you're on camera. If a gun goes off in Mount Vernon police do not wait for someone to call and say there was a shooting. They already picked that up, so they're on the ball. So like the caller said, you have the CCTV cameras, but if they can't track you where you're going, what's the point? Because then, if it's just up there on Keon Street and I come up and go someplace else, I'm out of your range. You can't see me. You don't know where I turn. You don't know nothing. So we are a small country.
That's the thing too.
CCTV camera should be on every post.
Yeah.
Because we're that small. We're not big.
And that's another question, Cleo, that comes to my mind. Are all of these cameras operational? Are they all working?
Well, and that's a $1 million question. And if we all know the record of our country, we don't maintain nothing. So they probably just they're dummy cameras, just deal.
Yeah.
We
have to take a break at this time.
By God.
Yeah.
Okay, clear. Yeah, and we're gonna have to wrap up in about right after the break. Maybe wrap up about 9:55 or so
for the preparation of the press conference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem.
We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Pour it up, meet the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, pass the brother colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. But stand you full of vibes, living for the color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, pass the brother colors in my life.
Tasty biscuit, just can't resist it. Tea time, calling night, noon and morning. Tasty biscuit, just can't resist it.
You can dunk it, you lick it, you taste it, you spin it, you twist it, you can mix them all together. It don't get any better. You can dunk it, you lick it, you taste it, you spin it, you twist it, you can mix them all together. It don't get any better. Anytime, whatever time, it's tea time. Whatever time, it's tea time. Snack on a delicious tea time biscuit anytime. It's tea time.
Well, we are back for the final remaining moments.
Yeah.
Because we gotta get ready for the premier's press conference. That's due to start at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you guys will come back and join me at 1:30 until 6 for the spin cycle. Sponsored by CPL. If you look for tickets and you want to find out about the games, you can go to the website cplt20.com. Yeah.
So someone sent me some communication. It says here, yes, tinting is allowed on the front of cars in the UK, but there are specific regulations. The front windscreen must let at least 75% of light through. The front side windows must let at least 70% of the light through. These rules apply to vehicles first used on or after the 1st of April 1985, for which vehicles before this time both windscreen and front side window must have at least 70% of light. If the tint is too dark, you could face penalties such as prohibition notice, a penalty notice, or court summons. If there is anything specific you like to know about regarding the window tinting regulations, and they have the sources down, they said that here someone made a comment, the traffic cameras have to see the driver. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Except, I mean, we don't really tint the full front glass, so it's not really,
okay. But some people tint enough that you can't see the driver, even though you don't tint the full front glass. There's some people who tint the vehicle, so it's like a reflection of yourself when you pass the mirror, when you pass the window. It's like a mirror. There's a reflection.
You see cars like that here?
I've seen a car like that.
Yeah. Let's squeeze in one more call before we shut it off. 9:55.
Yeah.
Caller, go right ahead. Please be brief. Caller?
Yes, good morning.
Hey,
Yeah,
good
hey.
morning.
The fact that if, as it said, we're going to have 3 simultaneous press conferences,
The 3?
2 by members of the same cabinet, and 1 by the leader of the Council on Nevis at the same time, demonstrates that this talk about that we should all get together is pure, to use an English expression, poppycock. You're
Thank
telling
you.
me that they could not have decided amongst themselves. And even when we put out first, the others, okay, I'll wait until this is finished to have mine. It's as if we have bodybuilders on the stage all doing the final pose down to see who could attract biggest audience. I don't have 3 radios and I only have 2 ears. On a second issue.
But which is the third? Which is the third? Because I know Dr. Denzel Douglas, and I know.
Yeah, we only know of 2.
Which is the third?
I heard that didn't someone say there was going to be 1 by the Premier of Nevis as well?
Yeah, Premier of Nevis, also the Senior Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs. I know 2.
And the Prime Minister.
Oh, he's doing 1 as well?
That's what I heard. I could be wrong.
Okay.
If I'm in error, I apologize.
Okay.
Second item, the police are often used as conveniences by the political parties. Party A is in office. Certain things are going on. The opposition criticizes the police, and Party A defends the police. There's an election on Tuesday. Sides change. Party B gets into office. Now they defend the police, and Party A, which on Monday was defending the police, is now criticizing the police. And so regardless of what are the challenges in the police department, when we don't get a sense that there's objective criticism and objective defense of police tactics and police measures, it means that the police are a convenience for the politicians, regardless of their color, flavor, or slogans. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Warner. And on that note, I think it's fine that we could conclude. It's 9:58, and as we make preparations for the press conference of the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Matt Bradley, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who joined in and listened. We had a wonderful time here this morning discussing solutions and airing our views.
Under the circumstances.
Yes, under the circumstances.